Hi again. Welcome back to Simplified Tree Anatomy. This week we're looking at an aspect of end grain that's helpful to you to understand if you want to identify the wood that's maybe in your furniture or maybe that you've found somewhere. Quick note on location though, I want to say that I am in the Great Lakes region of southern Canada, so that's my experience of trees and wood, primarily temperate, deciduous trees and conifers. I think some of the principles I'm sharing are more broadly applicable than that, but I have next to no firsthand experience with, for instance, tropical species. Anyways, on that note, let's dive into end grain. This week I have a really lovely piece of ash. It's about a quarter of a log, a cross-cut, and like drawing on what we talked about last week, we have our heartwood and our sapwood. Now we're going to look at these growth rings and try to understand what's going on with them. And as a kid, I understood growth rings in the sense of you could count them and it would tell you how long a tree has been growing. But I didn't really understand growth rings. For instance, if I bring this sample closer, you'll see that the growth rings, there's a contrast, right? There's these lighter parts and these darker parts. Well, what part is the growth ring? And the answer to that question is actually both. All growth rings have sort of two components. They have an early wood, that on the ash is this lighter bit, and then they have a late wood, which is the darker part. So the growth ring is really both of these. And next year you have the early wood and the later wood, so both of these again. Now, why is that important for us if we're interested in learning what species a piece of wood is, or getting some idea? The answer to that is that different species have radically different levels of contrast between early and late growth. So the ash has quite high contrast. Alternatively, I have a piece of hard maple here. I'll bring it up. And by contrast, you can see that that is much more subtle. In this case, the early growth is a bit lighter, and then there's sort of a darkening. That's the end of the growth season, the late wood. But it's much more subtle than the ash. And there are woods that are even more subtle, and then there's a variety of woods that are much higher contrast, similar to the oak. If we can observe the late wood, early wood contrast, if we know to look for that, that gives us some clues as we start to try to identify what a mystery wood is. So thanks for watching.